Oh, hello. Steve here from Big Cloud Productions. Gonna do a little stream. Well, it's for two reasons really. One, we're doing a module on streaming during my university degree. I'm in my third year, and we've got a apps and network streaming module, and we've got to do an assessment about streaming using OBS. And so I'm kind of getting to grips with the software and the whole concept of streaming. So this is useful. Secondly, I've got a website, Big Cloud Productions, in real life, and it would be quite useful if I could get more au fait with streaming and YouTube and things like that, especially in this new climate where people can't come round as easily as they used to. So the idea of live streaming and producing video content which anyone can access is way more appealing to me now than it used to be. I suppose I used to have more of a old-fashioned, old-school mindset where, you just get into a studio with people and look them in the eye and do things together collaboratively. But I suppose, like everybody else, my attitudes towards collaboration has got to evolve. And maybe things like OBS and streaming is a way of doing that. Also, during my university degree, like my final project, I've got to produce a final piece, a project. I've decided to choose an audio project naturally. Who's that? That's got to be Alex, isn't it? Do something. Yeah, all right, I'll do something. What do you want me to do? I'm doing something. I'm talking. That's it. That's all you're getting. I'll do a little dance or something, if you donate £1,000 or something like that. Or even five. Five would do it. I'll dance for £5. Sing you a song. Did you like the elevator music? I love that. I kind of put it on as a joke, the Muzak with a K. For the apps, for the streams about to start music. I'm actually quite addicted to it. It's really nice. I find it really soothing. Yeah, Muzak. It's nice. I'll tell you what. I'll play you a song. How about this? What I was going to do is I was going to get Cubase up and play you some of the tracks I'm thinking about using for my final project. So, okay, let's see what happens if we do this. Do 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 do. Try that on for size. Whoa! Whoa! Look at this. That's nice, isn't it? Oh, but now we've lost Alex's little chat. So how do we get Alex's chat back? We're learning as we go here, folks. Let me see if I can copy that across. Okay. I think the chat should be back now. Hopefully. Alex, chat something. See if it comes up. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Beautiful. We're back in business. Okay, so this is a Cubase session for a track I've written. So, like all songs, it starts as an acoustic demo. It's just guitar and vocals. So, let's just hear the guitar. Remember when you were small? Remember how you'd never relate?
Funny how this world's now all of us, but living on the other side of the play. So you learn to say the words temporis, my semper, time's always on your side. Sip them slowly.
Okay, so that's how the songs are written. Just acoustic guitar, bit of I turned up the acoustic. It was just down in the mix. So then, you know, you got to add a bit of bass.
Boy. These unwashed horde,
bit of drums,
marching on the House of Lords. Oh, they really don't matter at all.
So just a point. Yeah, I've thought about it, but you know, it's not cost effective. So on these demos, I've wrote the song obviously, and I've programmed in drums, you know, using oh, it's off on the another screen. How do I do this? Yeah, there we go. So, you know, I program in the drums using, you know, MIDI and nice drum samples. You know, you can see here. Things like that. So I program these in, kind of a rough idea what I want. I play bass guitar, you know, I actually play it. But I'm not a bassist, as Alex would testify. Alex is the guy chatting, he's a very good bass player. But on the real album, I've got a crack rhythm section. And I've got a drummer, one of my oldest friends, Jai Stark, who's one of the best drummers I've ever seen in my life. He's gonna add some real drums to this. Bass player Colin Wilson, one of the best bass players I've ever seen. Fantastic. And the good thing about them is they'll just do their own thing. I mean, I'll do my little demos and I'll say, oh, you know, I kind of want it a bit like this, and they'll listen to it and go, oh, they'll just go off on their own tangent, which is exactly what I want, because there's no point in me telling them what to play. You know, what's the point? I mean, the whole idea of getting other musicians in is that they'll put their own taste on it, their own flavors on it. So the idea of just being dictatorial about it, it's not really what collaboration's all about. You got to let people put their own spin on it. And the keys, I'm a horrible keyboard player. I mean, I can bash out a few chords just to give people an idea, but there's a guy called Mikey who played on an album we did a few years ago called What If We Had No Moon. So all the piano you hear on that is Mikey. He now lives in Thailand. So I contacted him when we started thinking about this project, and he said he'd like to be involved. So don't know exactly how it's going to work. Maybe he'll just bash away over in Thailand and send me the MIDI files or the audio files, and we'll do it like that. But Jai and Colin, bass and drums, they should be actually coming into the studio in person. So the point I'm making is that the drums and the bass and the piano you hear shouldn't actually make the final cut. You know, it's just for this demo. I'll throw everything in. So I've added a load of guitars, just sort of arpeggios and things like that, and some lead later on, and backing vocals. And let's just see what happens.
Remember when we were small, Boris, spoiled and a bit overweight. Now you're nothing but a folded photograph, lying on the other side of your face. Would you trade all of your bureaucratic sycophants for a synthetic enzyme? You know you got to fight for lonely, sipping slowly, boy. 'Cause some washed boards, murderous and marching on the House of Lords. No, they really don't matter at all.
And there you have it. Yeah, that's a song called Boris. I'm sure you can use your imagination as to what that one's about. Yeah. Woo! Yeah, I put some tremolo on that guitar, like you suggested. The jury's out. I'm not sure. Maybe if I slow it down, it was a bit of a fast tremolo. I probably messed that up. Yeah, so that's one of them. So I guess you can see how, it starts off, just like this.
Fuck the pigs with the world outside as we can fuck the pigs.
And it can grow into something a bit more majestic, hopefully. So there's 3 stages to the project. So, you got to write the song, and that's usually either acoustic guitar, some vocals, some lyrics, chord structure, could even be on the piano. So the project starts with like a Word document or a piece of paper with some words and some chords, and that's it. It's quite simple. And then stage 2 is I bring it into Cubase and I record, an acoustic demo with a click track. I choose the tempo on this is 145 beats per minute. There's nothing very clever going on here. It's just a flat tempo. Oh, at the end it slows down, for the final couple of chords. And here's my chord track. You can see nothing clever there. It's very basic. No clever jazz chords or anything. It's a pretty simple song. and then I get my markers in, so you arrange your verses, chorus, solos, all that. And then you can start building it up. Next, I usually start thinking about drums and bass. Once you've got your bass line in, it kind of starts coming together. That's the bit I find hardest. I'm kind of pretty good at laying down guitar lines and harmony vocals, and even like MIDI bits and strings and keys. They seem to just flow, but I don't think I'm a natural bass player. I have to kind of work quite hard to get a working bass line that doesn't freak me out, one that sits nicely in the mix. But when I kind of tend to do a few takes at a bass line. My first one, I might even go to bed happy with it, and then the next day I'll hear it, I go, oh Jesus, what was I thinking? So maybe 3 or 4 takes, I'll start, the bass will start taking shape, and then it tends to happen pretty quickly. And then you can start adding strings, and on this song,
Fuck the pigs. Fuck the pig.
So yeah, you get an idea. So this is stage 2. Captain Mumble. I couldn't possibly comment. Oh yeah. Look, I've got a new border. Wow! Look at that. Let's take it away. It's a bit much, isn't it? Yeah. So stage 2. Once I've kind of built this up and I've got a good arrangement, I'm settled on a tempo, all my markers and everything's in place. Then it's time to think about stage 3, which is getting the real musicians to play in it. So then you go into a studio, or they're coming around here, or whatever you can do in the current circumstances. And so for the case of Jai, he'll be hearing this I've done, and it gives him a rough idea, but he'll have his own ideas. He'll be like, well, I wouldn't do it exactly like that, and the thing about MIDI drum beats and MIDI strings and things like that is they sound great and they're all perfect, but that's almost a problem. It's almost a bit too perfect, because the world's greatest drummer doesn't hit everything exactly on the beat, on the bar. There's a feel there. They'll speed up and they'll slow down. I mean, not to the point where it sounds wrong, but there's just a humanization about it. It's a living, breathing person is playing a beat, where if you're programming in loops and things like that, everything is absolutely like a robotic, and that's the problem. Dave Grohl. The point about Dave Grohl in Nirvana was he gave Nirvana the driving force, because his drums were always slightly ahead. He wasn't playing exactly. He wasn't like a quantized MIDI thing. He was driving their songs forward. Obviously, Kurt was a great songwriter in that, but he was the engine of that band, because it was a trio, and Kurt Cobain wasn't really a guitar player. He wasn't really a singer. He was a screamer, but he was like this force of nature. And Dave Grohl just made the whole thing work. I think with a different drummer, Nirvana might not have been, the force they were. Yeah, he's a good drummer. See, and the controversial statement. I'm not a massive Foo Fighters fan. Nothing against them, but it's not really my cup of tea. But I was a huge Nirvana fan. I thought and I'm a huge fan of Dave Grohl as a drummer. I think he's a really, really, really good drummer. Yeah, he's great. Yeah, so once I get it like this, I render it down into stems, because you don't want to be going to a studio with a multi-track like this with little tiny little bits of guitars, and it's just going to be messy. So yeah, I could get maybe I'd put it into Pro Tools with just like a mix down, the same tempo, same markers and everything, but just like with a stereo mix of this. But in fact, I probably have a few different mixes, because they're going to want different things. Like Colin might, like the bass player, he might just want an acoustic guitar with a click track, and the drummer might want the track but without any drums, obviously. So I kind of do a few little mix downs depending on what they might want. And you can do cue mixes, headphone mixes, and things like that. And the reason I wouldn't take Cubase into the studio is just because they're not going to probably have Cubase in the studio. Most of the studios are running Pro Tools. Unless I just work the session off my laptop, plug into their interface. I don't know. I'll figure that out closer to the time. Yeah, and then so you see here I've got folders for Jai's new drums. You guys will remember this when you're miking up a drum kit. So I think we used an 8 mic technique in level 4, but this is a 16 mic technique. So we're getting only big girls use Cubase. Yeah, it's true. So Tony taught us an 8 mic technique, and I think he even taught us was it a 3 mic technique? What's the 3 mic technique? Quiz. What's the 3 mic technique we learnt? Famous drummer. Come on, wasn't Dave Grohl? Prize if you get that one right. Okay, but this is a 16 mic technique. John Boner method. Well, close. Glyn Johns, that's right. Good boys. Good boys. So that was a 3 mic technique, but we did an 8 mic technique, didn't we? So if you see here, this is a 16 mic technique. So you got kick in and out, snare top bottom, hi-hat ride, low tom, mid tom, high tom, overhead left and right, room left and right, stereo rooms, ambience, and then you've got 2 additional mics for boundaries, or other. You could have as many ambient mics as you wanted really. Now this is probably overkill. Peanut is your prize. Yeah, I'll go get Peanut in a minute. Actually, I don't like her in here. She chews all my cables. She comes in and she chews things. She's a nightmare in here. And she sheds. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, I got it working with Skype, and getting the Cubase audio into Skype. I tested it on myself, and I tested it with like Sarah and Harvey in the house, them cool. But it sounded like shit. It works, and I got it working a few different ways. The way Ollie did it, like screen sharing, I got a new audio driver to make that work, and I also I just fed it into the Skype call using a virtual cable. You saw that stream with Harvey? Oh, it was a nightmare. So if you saw that, you'll have seen the delay. It was really delayed, and the sound quality on the stream, when you watch the YouTube video, the sound quality was fine. You could hear the Cubase as you could probably on this session, but what he was hearing on his Skype call was just like sounded really bad quality. It was underwater and it was lagging, and so I don't know how usable it would be. And I'm still not sure whether that was just down to our internet or what. So maybe, I don't know if you guys got any ideas. How do we fix that problem? Because it would be hard, like if I was trying to send this mix to a client and he was on the Skype call, but he wasn't actually hearing the stream, he was hearing the Skype call, and it was just sounded like shite. He's gonna be going, oh, remix it, it sounds horrible. But it's not that, it's just, unless maybe they could listen to the stream. But the stream's a bit delayed as well, isn't it? A few seconds. I don't know. We'll have to put our thinking caps on for that. But it's almost possible. We're close. The best I ever heard was when you did it, Ollie, with Ableton. That sounded pretty much fine to me. Still don't know how you did it. Skype, yeah. But when Ollie did Ableton on Skype, it sounded okay, didn't it? Am I imagining that? To me, it sounded fine. Although I was playing a full mix like this, maybe it was too much noise. I don't know, because Ollie was sort of doing individual keynotes, wasn't he? Maybe a full mix is too. It kind of sounded like it was bottlenecking. I don't know. Okay, so we've got to stage 3. We're into the studio. Virtual cam. What's he saying there? Ollie streamed the page of OBS. He didn't use OBS to stream the virtual cam. Oh, interesting. Yeah. So at the minute, this is the best thing. I mean, we can have Skype calls, and that's absolutely fine, and we can kind of go over DAW stuff like this, you know. But doing them at the same time seems to be a bit problematic. I think, the drivers all freak out and Skype freaks out. I don't know. I'm open to suggestions on that one. So by stage 3, I will have Jai's 16 drum tracks in here. Maybe not 16. These are just extra tracks if we need others. So maybe it's 14. Maybe it's 13. I don't know. But something like that. I'll have Colin's new bass. And hopefully Mikey's new keys. Now, Mike's in Thailand. I don't know what his situation is. Unsubscribe. Don't unsubscribe. I've only got 50 followers. I can't afford unsubscription. Yeah. So then it'll be mix it all down. And then it'll be mastering. And that's about it. Big thing to remember is at this stage, this isn't mixed. It's all about gain staging. Here's a little lesson for you. Gain staging. So when you got your mixer up, let's just look at the drums. Here we are. You see where the drums are hitting? Nothing's going up towards 0. Snare's a bit loud. You kind of want to give your snare a little bit more bollocks anyway, but so at this stage we haven't got a load of plugins or anything on it. It's all just like the raw audio. There might be I think there's sends. Let's have a look. Yeah, there's no active sends there. There might be on the group tracks. So you want to watch where it's peaking. If anything was peaking up here towards a 0, you're in trouble because you haven't really started laying on effects and compressors and things yet. So So that's the key. So you want loads of headroom in this stage. This is kind of like the pre-mix. It's called gain staging. So what you would do, let's just get just the kick drum. You see this here? And you play with the gain knob. So that's too much. You want it between -18 and -12 dBs. So you've got all this headroom here. So if you do, you know, just say you start throwing on, let's just for fun. Let's put something clever on. So if you start playing around with these, you see what happens. Suddenly it sounds great, but it's much louder. But if we hadn't gain staged it, you know, you'd be clipping already. Knob. What else can I show you? That's about it, really, isn't it? Yeah, so that guitar, you wanted a tremolo on it, didn't you? Let's just listen to that. So that was with your tremolo idea on. I don't know what you think of that. Maybe a slower one. That's without. That's with. I quite like the sound of that. It was, I think it was my new guitar. I think it was the Gibson with the P90s on. I can't even remember. I usually make a note of it. Is there any notes? Oh yeah, here we go. Look, Les Paul Jr. P90 tone. Oh, with the tone rolled off into a Marshall JM 800, JMC 800. Yeah. Yeah, sounding good. All right, all. Good luck with Tony. I'm going to close this down in a minute myself, actually. I've said all I wanted to say about Boris. Give my love to Tony. I miss Tony. Tell him we miss him. Tony McKenna, Liverpool John Moores University legend. So yeah, okay. Hopefully this worked. Thank you to the lads for joining in. having a bit of a chat. And yeah, I might go through a few more songs for the album this way and just have a little look at what we're thinking of doing. And I hope it was fun. I'll see you later.